What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about an organic peppermint tea and the Aurora 88th anniversary fountain pen with, of course, the flex nib. I've had this for a while, used it for a very long time, finally have true thoughts on it. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about this organic peppermint tea from, of course, David's Tea. Pretty much like everything. So this comes in obviously a box like this. I think it has 12 packs in it when you originally get it. Nowhere on the box does it say, but essentially you just pop this open and out comes your tea. So on the back, the ingredients just say peppermint leaves from Oregon and Washington State. That's it. That's all it's here. So you take one of these into near boiling water. You let it steep for about, what it says is 30 to 60 seconds. I call that a load of bukkake. I let it steep for about 3 minutes. And it's caffeine free and there's nothing in it. No calories, no nothing. It's just peppermint leaves. And that's exactly what it tastes like. It's just peppermint. One cool thing about the pack of these too is that this outer packaging here is biodegradable. So in the area that I live, the city actually does what we call green bin pickup. So we have special bags that we put all of our like biodegradable products, food products, things like that into, and the city will actually compost it and dispose of it for us. But if you compost on your own, then you can put these bags into your compost. So I like it. This is just recyclable, this over packaging here. But anyways, I really like it. It's just straight up peppermint. That's it. It's not bitter. It's not really like, there's a hint of a sweetness. But that's it. It's just peppermint and I like it. Like I said, I let it steep for 3 minutes because I like to be punched in the face with flavor. But if you're looking for just a good all around peppermint tea, this is a good one to get. I have 5 packets left and I think I bought this maybe 4 weeks ago roughly. So that should tell you something right there. I think it's about $10 Canadian for this. So it's a little bit more expensive to get them in the pre-packaged sets than if you buy them separately or like loose leaf kind of thing. But when I try a brand new tea that I've never had before, I prefer getting them this way because then if I don't like it, it's a lot easier to give to friends and family who might like it because they may not be into loose leaf tea. But yeah, I like it. I recommend it. Spoiler, something I also really like and recommend is this beautiful guy right here. So as always, there will be better close-ups coming. This is the Aurora 88th anniversary flex fountain pen. It's been called all kinds of things. This is obviously the red version. The blue came out first, then red, and there's green, and there's orange, and there's brown. So there's all kinds of colors now. And I obviously have the red, and surprise, I have the red ink inside it. So if any of you have owned or used an Aurora pen before, there's 2 like really familiar brands, like models out there. There's the Optima and then there's the 88. So the Optima you'll find in the iCard, whichever spot that may be, that I've done a full review of before, and then the 88. Essentially the Optima is kind of like a Sailor Pro Gear kind of thing in the sense that it has like flat ends, whereas this would be like Sailor 1911 sort of, where it's got that more typical cigar shape body. As far as just body goes, that's it, nothing else. I do prefer the Optima over this, but that's just because I like that body shape better. Nothing to do with the actual pen itself. So to look at these guys, they're fairly standard. So up here, just shiny red. Let me see if I can make that a little bit better here. Nope, there's writing on the back of that. What don't I have writing on the back of? So just shiny red. And then you got gold accents. So you got that gold clip coming down to a gold center band. The center band has absolutely nothing on it with the exception of the word Aurora. Again, you will see a better close-up in a moment. Coming down to the end of the barrel is just completely red, nothing on it, with a little gold accent ring here. So really not too much going on there. Unscrew the barrel, and then you have the nib, the grip section, and the little ink window. Grip section, I really like that it's really big. It can definitely fit very nicely in my hands. Even if your thumb like hangs out back here like mine tends to do, there is a small step up here, but really you're not going to go that far. But these threads are so shallow that like even pressing on them really hard, you can barely feel it, which is really cool. And there is a small flare out here to stop your fingers from sliding onto the nib and feed, which is really cool. And then you have an ink window, which is really nice because then you know, of course, when you are going to run out. And much like the Optima, pretty much any Aurora piston, there is a little mechanism on the inside. If you can see there, let's see if I can kind of show you. In the very center, there's like a black piece that hangs down. That's part of the feed, and there's a little piston rod that moves up and down. And so when you're running out of ink, when you like flip it over, if you twist the piston so that the piston is all the way down, it actually pushes some of this ink up and into the feed. So that way you basically can use the last drop of ink that's in here, which is really, really cool. I'm going to direct you to Dan Smith, so the Nib Smith. He, in his video about the Aurora Optima, he demonstrates this very, very well, which is really cool. It does make it a little bit tricky for cleaning, but with both the Optima and the 88, you can grab the base of the nib and feed, twist, and you can unscrew the entire unit. So that way you can clean the body of the pen very, very well. So there's not much that I don't like about this pen. The clip is fairly sturdy. There's not much I don't like about it. Like I said, I prefer the Optima shape over the 88, but it's definitely nothing that I'm like, oh man, I hate that or anything like that. That's not the case. It just happens to be that I prefer the Optima body. It does post. It's a very light pen. It is basically resin that it's made out of. Posts very securely, which I like. You know, capping and uncapping is a very smooth action. There's nothing going there. It's polished very nicely. All of the like accents, like the way it actually says Aurora, that's done very nicely. It's all crisp. It's clean. I like it. The only thing I don't really like is the price tag. It is a bit pricey. So these are limited, and it is really Aurora's first foray into flex nibs. So Aurora does make their own gold nibs. This is 14 karat, just stamped saying Aurora Italy, and it is a flex nib. So it is their first foray into it. Side note, really random, not price economical at all, but you can switch the nib units with the Optima. Just, you know, so you know. Retail price, I've seen this go for about $5.85 and up for US dollars, which right now Canadians with our conversion puts it just shy of $7.50, which is really up there. So for this specific model, if you are not a flex pen enthusiast, you don't absolutely love it, you don't die for flex pens, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this one. For the price tag, I would maybe recommend one of the you know, Optimas or the limited edition 88s that have like the Soul or the Nebula that just came out, just because you get a visually more interesting pen made out of more interesting materials, in my opinion. But like I said, you do you. I like it. I'm glad I have it. I love the way it writes, which I'll show you in a moment. But those are my thoughts. So let me flip the camera around and I'll show you what this bad boy can do. All right, I'm gonna be the first to admit that I'm at a really awkward angle here for writing, so that's gonna be fun. But regular writing is a dream. So I love, love, love wet pens, and as you can see here by the light reflection, it is definitely still wet, which it really needs to be in order to flex out at all. I'm also not a flex pen writer, so I do not do this pen justice, but it definitely can flex. So I mean, a regular line down to its flex line. And the ink definitely pours out when you do it this way too, which I really, really like. Oh, and the ink, by the way, is Diamine Red Dragon. Ink starvation never really happens. I do get the odd railroad when I try and flex for too long. It does tend to dry out a little bit, as you saw here, like if you don't use it for a little bit. But more often than not, like 99% of the time, you're good to use it, and it doesn't really matter. Like you can see here, if I put it like all the way to one side, it doesn't quite work, but it has a very large like rotation sort of for it to work. But if you are flexing, do try to be careful with the way that you hold it. Try and hold it parallel, just so that you don't mess with the tine alignment, because that would be a travesty. It's probably one of my favorite. I much prefer this over the Pilot Falcon, both resin and metal version. I also prefer it over the Pilot Justice. The Pilot Falcon nib gets pretty much the same line variation, but I do have to give the Falcon the slight edge over this. The caveat to that is I've only ever used the Falcon once, like the Falcon nib kind of thing. I've only ever used that once, and it was not my pen, so I can't speak to it too much, but that one experience I had, it was a little, you had to use a little bit less pressure than you do with this pen. But I'm pretty sure that Aurora actually did that on purpose because they had it so that the nib was softer and you didn't have to have as much pressure, but they were worried that people would splay the tines too easily. So it's my understanding that that was a choice that Aurora made on purpose, but I could be wrong on that one. But everything else, I flippin' love about this pen. It's very smooth. Like I said, it's a wet writer, which I enjoy. You know, if you are looking for a pen that writes wet, this is definitely one that you will go with. You could definitely put a drier ink in here and still use it no problem with regular writing. So this is a great pen. I really, really enjoy it. I'm glad that I have it. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Guys, if you like the video, please hit that thumbs up. If you haven't yet done so already, please do hit the subscribe. I do make videos every Monday and Friday for the most part, and the occasional Q&A on Tuesday. If you know, you feel like leaving a comment, do that too. Definitely answer some other comments you see down there. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.